Are you saying you didn't have the time before then?
No, I've been quite clear.
No, I mean on a one-to-one basis. Clearly Sir Tom wanted to see you face to face.
I've been quite clear. Sir Tom was given copious amounts of documentary material.
Yes, no, you said that. I'm just asking about you actually meeting him.
As I've been quite clear, he was given copious amounts of written material, and when it was clear that he'd ignored, sometimes the only contemporaneous records. We made time, including people coming back from holiday and so forth, to see Sir Tom.
May I respond to that? One cannot assess the reliability and credibility of a witness by reading a piece of paper. You need to get them in front of you. You need to look them in the face. You need to see their body language, to hear their answers. And in a number of respects, the evidence I received on the 17th of August meeting was not satisfactory and in some respects not tenable and not credible. I did not ignore the material that the Mayor gave me. I looked at all of it with very, very great care, as is fully reflected in each page of this report. The amount of engagement that I got from the Mayor's office and from the Mayor was far below what I would have expected on a matter of this seriousness. But it was up to the Mayor to give me whatever time he was prepared to spare. But I repeat, this was supposed to take 6 weeks and it took 22.
And that's because it was extended so you could see the Mayor?
Yes.
I mean, I've looked up what you were doing in that time, and there was an awful lot of football going on and ABBA concerts, etc. So perhaps you would have had time. Do you regret now that you didn't see Sir Thomas earlier?
Well, I note the commentary and bias in your question before the question, but no. I think the reality was we expected a review to be impartial, to look at all the evidence, for weight to be given to all the witnesses. Simply because somebody happens to be an officer or a former officer, they shouldn't be given more weight. And we were surprised that there was an ignoring of all the documentary material, 30 pages of evidence, the emails in real time, and the minutes of the meetings. I'll give you one example where Sir Tom's unhappiness doesn't merit the evidence. There is one meeting where I'm present, the former Commissioner's present, and the Home Secretary is present. And there's a difference of views between Sir Tom's conclusion and my version. Sir Tom could very easily have spoken to the Home Secretary in person if he's claiming the only way to check the evidence is to look a witness in the eye and see the veracity of the materials. The Home Secretary has not been spoken to by Sir Tom in relation to that January meeting in 2022.
The other two people. The people present, principal people present, were the Mayor and the Commissioner, and the Mayor lays considerable evidence on documentary evidence. The Home Secretary's minute and her letter to me of that meeting, together with the other evidence, persuaded me that the version of that meeting that I was given by the Home Office and the Metropolitan Police was preferable to that of the Mayor. Credibility and reliability is of enormous importance, but we did our best to get the evidence. The Mayor lays emphasis on the fact that I made a remark in paragraph 21 of the report in relation to the weight of evidence to be attached to that of police officers. What he doesn't draw attention to is what I have said in relation to the overall factual accounts. And what I said is where there's been a dispute of fact, I've generally been able to attribute more weight to evidence by reference to its consistency with contemporaneous documents, something the Mayor lays emphasis on, the degree to which that evidence is corroborated by the accounts of others, the detail and specificity of the evidence, my ability to test the evidence in interview with the person concerned, including that person's willingness and ability to answer questions, and its inherent credibility and coherence. I have said as almost an afterthought, sometimes police evidence is stronger because police officers are accustomed to providing evidence in court and therefore remembering things with greater detail. But I have not said, and I have not implied, that police officers must always be believed over other people. Of course not.
No, I did read that in the report. Mr May, as well as claiming that the review was clearly biased, which I don't think you've proved to us that it was at all, if you've anything else to say on that, please do.
Okay,
you also
so here's the context. So the context which has been said to me, and you can understand the concern people have in relation to the context, is you have a situation where you've got Steve House, who is appointed Deputy Commissioner by the former Commissioner Sadiq. On her deciding to resign, the acting Commissioner, the former Deputy Commissioner Steve House, appointed by Sadiq after he had to leave Police Scotland, writes to the former Home Secretary, Priti Patel, to look into the departure of the then Commissioner who'd appointed him Deputy Commissioner, and the former Home Secretary asks Sir Tom, one of the most talented and far-sighted police leaders the police have seen in living memory, after the series of scandals, to undertake a review. The primary witnesses Sir Tom relies upon for his review are Acting Commissioner Steve House, our Acting Deputy Commissioner, former Assistant Commissioner Helen Ball, appointed by Steve House, and the version of events given by Dame Sadiq's team, including the Chief Constable that Sir Tom has referred to. You compare and contrast that with the voluminous documentary material given by the Mayor's Office of Police and Crime, the minutes of the meetings, the emails, the extensive written material, the 30 pages of evidence. Nowhere in Sir Tom's report does he mention any of the series of scandals when he's asked to give a timeline in his report. And in the previous draft of this report, he spends a lot of time talking about the fact that Sadiq became a dame. Those are just some of the examples of the concerns people have. Another concern people have is his report seems to fail to understand the difference between an anti-racist organisation and somebody who claims to have zero tolerance of racism. His report clearly, in his own words, shows that more weight was given to police officers than to others. And, you know, I'd like the committee, I would have liked Sir Tom to be as unhappy about the lack of dignity given to Bieber and Nicole, the lack of dignity given to Charles Q, the lack of dignity given to Sarah Everard, the lack of dignity given to those that vigil at Clapham Common, the lack of dignity to Bianca Williams, the lack of dignity to the Morgan family, the lack of dignity to the victims of Stephen Port.
That was not within the remit of this actual report. And a great many of these things happened beforehand. Before I go on to the next part.
Sorry, happened beforehand? What do you mean, Chair?
Houghton, etc. happened before.
I didn't mention Houghton, Chair.
No, I did then.
Well, I've given you a list of cases
yes.
At a time
we are talking
when Sir Tom
about
thinks
what is
then
in
President's
the
the best officer ever.
Sir Tom, would you like to tell us the remit that you were given, the parameters upon which you were asked to report on? Because that's what we'll be discussing today.
Yes, I was asked to look at the process, not the substance. Clearly, the factual background of the performance of the Met was relevant, but I did not, and was required not to, examine the performance of the Met or the performance of the Commissioner. The Mayor lays emphasis now on what he calls a series of scandals, and some of these things were terrible. The murder of Sarah Everard, Nicole Smallman, Bieber Henry, Daniel Morgan, Stephen Port, Bianca Williams, Child Q, the Morgan investigation, and so on. But almost all of these things happened before the Mayor, many of these things happened before the Mayor lobbied the Home Secretary to give Sadiq a 3-year extension, not a 2-year extension, and they all happened, with the exception of Houghton, the Houghton report. Remember, the Houghton events happened 4 years earlier under the watch of Bernard Hogan Howe. These things all happened before the Mayor expressed very significant confidence in the foundations for the future of the Metropolitan Police on the 19th of January 2022. So for him to reel off these other terrible things is frankly beside the point. If they were as terrible as that, why did he express on the 19th of January such unqualified support and confidence in the future of the Met? It doesn't add up. The Mayor also says that the policing of Clapham Commons vigil was found to be unlawful. That is simply not true. The High Court found that aspects of the way in which the Met prepared and engaged with the organisers of the vigil in advance had legal flaws. The policing of the vigil itself was exemplary. The Inspectorate, carried out a very, very detailed examination of the policing of the vigil, and we found that the officers in question behaved with commendable restraint and the utmost professionalism. That's not what the Mayor said that night, and I'm not surprised that the Mayor may have been embarrassed later.
Yep.